So where were we? So we were talking about the second conditional, right? That's in
Second condition.
yeah, unreal situation or maybe an imagined one. So we talked about the bird thing. So we applied if, and I told you that normally we use I was, I के साथ was जाता है. That's a grammatical thing. But when we talk about conditionals, we are allowed to use were with I were, right? Did you get me? Okay, no problem.
Ma'am, now you are audible.
Okay, so I was saying that we normally use was with I, right? I was doing my homework.
Okay.
But in conditionals, we use were with I. We don't use was.
Okay.
Yeah. That happens in conditionals. So if I were a bird, I would fly. So we know this is the formula. You will note that down and we'll practice that later, right? Okay, so now let's talk about in the second conditional we talked about something that's like far away from reality, that's unreal, and that was a bird thing. Let's talk about something in second conditional that is an imagined situation, a situation that could have happened, but it's something हम ऐसा नहीं कह सकते ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता ना लाइफ में, ये तो like reality में हो ही नहीं सकता. So let's talk about this situation. That's something imagined and like imagine है but ये हो सकता है. For example, if he studied harder, and that's related to the past, also remember that. If he studied harder, he would pass. So this is a situation कि अगर वो पढ़ता, like उसने past में पढ़ा होता, बहुत अच्छे से पढ़ा होता तो वो पास हो जाता. ये situation हम imagine करते हैं ना, काश और हमने imagine की situation कि उसने पढ़ा होता तो वो पास हो जाता. So imagine situation भी second conditional में आता है, other than unreal situation. So इसका भी obviously same formula है, if, past simple, and then we go to base verb, which is the first form, and and then that's the would. We add would here. Because as we talked about zero conditional, we talked about first conditional, we did not apply any would over there, right? But in second conditional, we apply in the main verb, we use the word would. If he studied harder, he would pass. We can also use might and could other than would. तो might or could भी हम use कर सकते हैं. For example, let's say if I were a bird, I could fly. I might fly. Okay, ये जो could, would और might है, इन तीनों words की meaning same होते हैं. सिर्फ the difference is that it depends on their intensity. When we use would, हम कोई चीज़ थोड़ी ज़्यादा surety से कह रहे होते हैं. जब हम उससे lower आता है could. We use could तो हम श्योरिटी थोड़ी है बट वुड से कम है, ठीक है. एंड देन सबसे लो पे माइट आता है कि वही वाली बात है, श्योरिटी कम है बट लाइक बहुत कम है, तो वुड और कुड से भी कम है. मीनिंग एक है, बस इंटेंसिटी में डिफरेंस है, ठीक है.
ओके, लेकिन मैम देखिए ना, हमने फर्स्ट कंडीशनल में इफ यू स्टडी यू विल पास द एग्जाम, मतलब वही वर्ड ही तकरीबन बोला है, लेकिन इसमें हमने कहा कि इफ ही स्टडीड हार्डर ही वुड पास.
हाँ ठीक है, समझ गई.
वहाँ पे हम
जी
वहाँ पे हम मतलब फर्स्ट किया क्या था, यहाँ पे ऐसे होता कि जो पहले वाला फर्स्ट कंडीशनल है वहाँ पे अगर ऐसे होता कि इफ ही स्टडीड he will pass the exam. If he will study, he will if he study he will pass the exam.
Yes.
मतलब अगर ऐसे होता.
Yeah, obviously that's correct too. Basically, ये example I added this here because this example can also come in an imagined situation and also come in a possible situation. ये first conditional से में भी आ सकता है, आप first conditional के भी rules इस पे apply कर सकते हो और आप second conditional के rules भी इस पे apply कर सकते हो, क्योंकि ये एक imagined situation भी है और एक possible situation भी है. तो आप इस पे सेकंड कंडीशनल के रूल्स के मुताबिक करो या फर्स्ट कंडीशनल के रूल्स के मुताबिक करो. देयर आर सम एग्जांपल्स that fall under the two categories, because you see yourself कि मैंने जैसे कहा कि imagined situation है, तो imagined situation possible भी हो सकती है. तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि हमारे पास फर्स्ट कंडीशनल में भी ये कंडीशनल में भी ये शर्त थी कि कोई ऐसी सिचुएशन हो जो पॉसिबल हो सके ना हो सके. तो जब अब अगर ऐसी कोई एग्जांपल आ रही है जो ओवरलैप कर रही है, तो आप दोनों में उसको यूज कर सकते हो. आप उसको फर्स्ट भी कह सकते हो, सेकंड भी, और इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द रूल्स. तो आप फर्स्ट कंडीशनल के रूल्स अप्लाई करो सेकंड कंडीशनल के. ठीक है,
ठीक
है. नाउ लेट्स मूव टू द थर्ड कंडीशनल. Okay, so
third condition.
Yeah, the third conditional is basically about a past situation. कोई चीज past में हुई थी, लेकिन like past से related थी, but वो हुई नहीं. ठीक है, अब वो इस तरह से हो सकता है कि for example there's a train here, you can see, and the sentence goes, if she had left earlier. ठीक है, that's something past. So she had left earlier, इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि past में हुआ था but उसने ये काम किया नहीं. तो रिजल्ट उसका ये तो कि हुआ कि शी वुडंट हैव मिस द ट्रेन, कि अगर वो पहले चली जाती, निकल जाती घर से, तो वो ट्रेन ना मिस करती. यानी कि आउटकम या रिजल्ट आ गया. तो हम बात करें ऐसी सिचुएशन की जो पास्ट से रिलेटेड है और वो किसी ने की नहीं या हुई नहीं, दैट डिडंट हैपन. अब इसके रूल्स क्या हैं? इसमें भी इफ है, और जो इफ क्लॉज में हमारा इस दफा जो टेंस यूज हो रहा है वो होगा पास्ट परफेक्ट. ठीक है, पास्ट परफेक्ट यानी कि हैड हो गया, और ये हमारा इफ क्लॉज है. इसके आगे जो मेन क्लॉज आता है उसके अंदर हम वुड, जैसे इससे पहले हमने वुड यूज किया, कुड यूज किया, माइट यूज किया. यहाँ पे भी वुड, कुड, माइट यूज हो सकता है, बट उसके साथ हैव होगा. वुड हैव, कुड हैव, माइट हैव. ठीक है, और यहाँ पे हम थर्ड फॉर्म ऑफ वर्ब लगाएंगे. ठीक है, द पास्ट पार्टिसिपल. सो लेट्स पुट इट टुगेदर. इफ शी हैड लेफ्ट अर्लियर, इफ हमने यूज किया है, हमने पास्ट परफेक्ट का हैड यूज किया है, और उसके बाद हम आगे बात करें में दूसरे क्लॉज की, मेन क्लॉज की, तो हमने उसमें वुडंट हैव या वुड हैव जो भी है उसी तरह यूज़ किया जैसे उन्होंने कहा था कि आप वुड हैव, कुड हैव, वुड नॉट हैव, ये सब चीज़ें यूज़ करो. उसके बाद पास्ट पार्टिसिपल द थर्ड फॉर्म ऑफ वर्ब मिस से मिस्ड हो गया, ed. ठीक है, सो दैट्स अ formula which we will apply here for the third conditional. ऐसी आपको, can you think of any situation that is related to the past, or you can say it in Urdu maybe, or anything related to past but did not happen?
Yes, if I had worked harder, then I could have become a doctor.
Yeah, that's correct. So could have, would have, might have. Okay, yeah. So it seems that you had this dream of becoming a doctor.
Yes.
Okay, so well, it doesn't matter, because you know that it is a big dream, but not everyone. There are other dreams in the world too that bring you to great places. So yeah, what place in you are, the situation in which you are, the profession that you have now, it also has a great place which you can, you know more than me, that you can take that forward. So it's not always that a doctor can be something on the top in the world. So some people are doctors, they're not, living that life that a normal person is living, that happier life. So just look at the positive side instead of regretting. But yeah, well, it's a good thing.
Yes, ma'am, you are right. In fact, this is true, but I had this dream, but now I have. I think that this what I am now is very good for me, best for me, and Allah has given me what I needed to do. Actual.
Yeah. Basically, the thing is that in our society, we've always been listening our parents saying to us, इसने डॉक्टर बनना है, इंजीनियर बनना है, डॉक्टर बनना है. तो that thing develops in a mindset, and we think, okay, this is the only thing that we should become. इसी में सारी इज्जत है. But if you look outside of the box, there's so much more than that, and we know when we explore it.
Yes, I am happy with my current condition.
Yeah, that's a lovely thing. Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
So let's talk about another example for the third conditional. So as we said, it's a situation related to the past but did not happen. So if we talk about here, it says, if I had worked harder, I might have gotten the job. You can add might, could, would, whatever you want, but that's a situation related to the past, but that did not happen. कि अगर मैंने और ज़्यादा मेहनत की होती तो मुझे वो job मिल चुकी होती. So you can see the same rules. If, past perfect, the had, and then in the main clause we have would have, might have, could have. It's up to you. What's the intensity? And then obviously the third form of verb, which is gotten, right? Now, let's practice some pronunciation things here. Okay, another thing before moving to the pronunciation, if you see in the slide where I talked about कि अगर मैं परिंदा होती तो मैं उड़ जाती. If I were a bird, I would fly. So I was thinking about one thing, that if you talk about the third form of verb and the second form of verb, like if you talk about the second form of verb of fly, which is spelling as FLEW, which people pronounce it as flew, right? We're talking about the second form of verb. So it's not flew. Okay. The spelling is FLEW, but it is pronounced as flow. It's still pronounced as flow, as we talked about. So, if you remember that, and yeah, so okay. Yeah.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah. So don't ever say flew. It's flow and flown. Okay.
Okay. Flow.
Yeah. Good. Very good. Okay. So. In the previous lecture, we talked about pronunciation. We talked about different key areas in pronunciation, like the phonetic knowledge you should have. You should know about the stress and unstressed patterns. You should know about intonation, rhythm, pace, and all these things. And I told you that we are just introducing them, and we'll talk about them in detail later on, right? So today we're talking about one element in detail, and then we'll talk about each element in detail in the upcoming sessions. Okay, so in today's session, regarding the pronunciation, the element that we're going to talk about is the stressed and unstressed syllables. So when pronouncing a word, you should know where to apply stress and where to unstress it. That would make your pronunciation correct. For example, previously in your examples, I've told you कि आपने t के ऊपर stress देना है. इस वाले word में आपने t के ऊपर stress नहीं देना. आपने इस वाले part पे stress देना है. जैसे हमने बात की थी, you said mitigate. And I remove that thing as कि हमने t के ऊपर stress नहीं देना. उसकी sound ठ है, but हमने t पे stress नहीं देना. हमने उसको unstress कर देना है. Mitigate. t के बजाय. तो basically, इस चीज को समझने से पहले, what stress means and what unstress means. If I tell you to stress a sound, what does that mean? It means you can say that louder. You have to say it longer and clearer. उसको ज़्यादा कोशिश करने के prominent बनाओ, थोड़ा सा खींचो उसको. That's stress, right? When I say to unstress it, that means कि उसको थोड़ा softly touch करो. ठीक है? उसको weaker बना दो उसको as compared to the other sounds. उसकी sound को थोड़ा reduce करो. तो automatically वैसे, when you apply stress on some sounds in a word, when you stress on some sounds in one word, and the other sounds, if you don't stress on them, you can clearly see the difference, how the stress and unstress works. So let's talk about these stress and unstressed syllables. First, talk about the word, if you see photograph, right? Photograph. I think some people say, some people pronounce it as photograph. They say something like that, right? Photograph. So what they basically are doing incorrect is that what's making their pronunciation incorrect is because they're applying stress on the incorrect sounds. So in this thing, you have to apply stress on the, like in this photograph, you have to apply stress on the first syllable, right? So this is a word and it has sounds in it. One word has many sounds. So a group of sound in a word is known as syllable, right? So you have to apply stress on the first part in this photograph. अब stress मैंने किया तो मैंने कहा उसको थोड़ा सा लंबा कर दिया. उसके बनिस्बत आप बाकी को देखो, मैंने उनको बहुत हल्का टच दिया. photograph. अगर मैं उनको भी ज़्यादा टच देती तो मैं वैसे ही कहती जो गलत है. photograph, to या photograph. ठ को ठीक की आवाज़ आपने बनानी है, लेकिन आपने इस चीज़ का भी ख्याल रखना है कि आपने ठ और आगे आने वाले जो साउंड्स हैं उन पे कम स्ट्रेस दो. ठीक है? photograph. Good. अब इसको नेक्स्ट वर्ड में देखो So, whatever, if I made the color red, it means you have to apply stress over there. The other white color is, means unstressing it. Now let's see this one.
Okay.
Photography. Tog. Tog is stressed here. That's why you can see it more louder, hear it more louder, clearer, and longer as compared to other sounds, right? Photography. Can you say that? Photography?
Photography.
Yeah.
Photography.
Yeah. Because what we do incorrectly is we say photography. Photography. That's incorrect. You have to say photography. Tog.
Photography.